Here again, the problem we hear from customers is that you have to decide what tables to run on. We are looking to build, as you said, a return on investment dashboard for customers. Thinking about next calendar year, we have made a lot of improvements and innovations, in the past few years, but customers are still stuck on the earliest version of Delta. There is no upgrade to the tables. There is no adopting all these new features.
Hey folks, today we have a special guest. We have, of course, Quinton, but we have also Cindy. She is a product manager at Databricks. Hi Cindy, and can you please introduce yourself and tell us more about your role at Databricks?
Yeah. Hey folks, this is Cindy. I'm a product manager here at Databricks on the Delta team, working on features such as predictive optimization, which we'll hear more about today, and also liquid clustering.
Very short and amazing, and before we start, can you tell us a bit more about what you're technically doing? Are you meeting with customers, getting feedback, and then bundle it to the data engineers, or software engineers? What's technically your role?
Yeah, definitely. I would say all of the above you just mentioned. We talk to the customers, get their feedback, understand what are the pain points and what we can build to give them a better product experience at Databricks. We then, bring back these requirements. We think about what is the right product decisions to make. This can be, thinking about trade-offs between performance and cost and things like that. We also prioritize what are the different requirements and decide what is the, we're always wanting to build the most beneficial features for the most customers, if we can. And then obviously we work with the engineers, we bring these requirements and we go back and forth in designing the product, because as you know, all products, they are technical. So we work with engineers to go back and forth on that to make sure overall we can deliver the best product for our customers. And then after the product is ready, we will go through a preview process with the customers. Here again, we can get more feedback to iterate on the product, and eventually we will take the product to GA. Here where you can see all the adoption and things like that. We celebrate that for sure.
Yeah,
All right,
that's cool.
Yeah, a lot of things. So I think today we will discuss about all the features we have behind the managed table. So maybe we can start here. What's a managed table? Why should I care about managed table if I use Databricks?
And also, what's the difference between external and managed tables? Because I think this questions always came up with customers.
Yeah, definitely. So managed table is definitely our preferred table types. Where let me share my screen right now. Yeah. So here is a very quick summary of managed table and external tables. As you can see, by the way, thank you to UC open source. Now both tables are open and interoperable. That is our goal. We think having an open interoperable storage format is very critical for open lakehouse. And then they all exist currently in the open Delta format. We're also looking to support Iceberg, and they live in the storage that you own, customers own and control. And then you can see that because they're open interoperable, they are both accessible by external clients. So the only difference between the two is that for managed tables, our data intelligence platform would also optimize the data for you for peak performance and ease of use. So long story short, this is our most performant and easy to use table types, which we'll hear more about today. And I'll tell you more why you should use managed tables.
So if I just create a table, I don't do anything, create table in UC, that's going to be managed table. And if I add using the location and I specify a custom location, then that's going to be external table.
Correct.
Okay.
Managed tables is the default table type.
Okay, so super easy. So everybody should be kind of using managed table by default.
Yeah.
And you mentioned there is something called predictive optimization. Can you tell us more which features or what are the functionalities that this feature is bringing?
Definitely. I will give you a high level overview of predictive optimization. So let me go to my slides again. Here we go. So predictive optimization, which is actually currently GA'd at our Data and AI Summit earlier this year, it really trying to intelligently determine what is the best schedule of optimizations to run for our customers' managed tables. So we have an AI model that takes into account of customers' query patterns and combine them with factors such as data layout, what are the table properties you've set, what is the performance characteristics in your queries to determine what is the most impactful optimizations to run. And we're really trying to learn and adjust to your data usage patterns. So the intelligence engines would also, learn about your usage pattern over time to make sure your data is always stored in the most efficient layout, which we believe translates to cost savings and performance gains without any need at all for your manual interventions. So how do we do that? What we do is actually we go in and run the optimizations for you once we determine what is the most impactful commands to run. And this is done by spinning up serverless infrastructure. It will also prioritize the table to run based on the return on investment. So it's really trying to understand what tables would benefit the most from these operations, again, based on your usage patterns, and balance it out with the cost of the operations. And again, by taking advantage of the data independence, which we have in our managed tables, predictive optimization is really what we can make your tables super performant. So as of today, with the GA status, we support a few optimizations. We have compaction. This improves query performance by optimizing for your file sizes. We also have liquid clustering. So this incrementally clusters new data on your liquid cluster tables. And we also have a vacuum, which improves cost efficiency by deleting any unneeded files. So I'll pause here and take any questions.
Yeah. So just to understand, there is this mechanism or some compute that will run behind the scene to understand the query pattern and the table that needs to be optimized, and then vacuumed, and then the system will done it on your behalf.
Correct.
And
correct.
Just to be sure, the customer will be billed only for the duration of the execution of this operation, which is optimized, for example, or the vacuum. Not when the table are being scanned, for example.
Yeah. So as of today, our intelligence is free of charge. And we, as you said, we only charge for the compute cost for running optimize and vacuum. Here, the compute cost is actually comparable to the cost even if you run these commands by yourself.
Yeah, and I think it's pretty cool because you can find those all the tables that were let's say that benefits from predictive optimization in system tables, and you can track the cost and also which operation did run, and what number of files that were optimized, and number of files that were dropped if you run the vacuum.
Definitely.
And any cost consideration, can I track how much is spending maybe during this optimization or in adding limits?
So there's no limits on how many optimizations we can do. But we actually do have, as I said earlier, return on investment models. So for example, we've seen customers where they have 30,000 tables that they need optimizations on. We actually queue it in a way such that we optimize the most impactful table first, before the long tail of the 30,000 tables.
Okay, and it's on by default. As soon as you create a managed table, then you will have the auto optimization happening in the backend.
That's a great question. So as of today, we do have to go onto the account setting and feature enablement to set predictive optimization to be at the deep enabled option on the account setting. But what we're really excited about is that in the next calendar year, which is 2025, we're looking to enable predictive optimization by default for all accounts. So definitely stay tuned for that.
Yeah, that's great. And can I turn it on and off on specific tables? Let's say I have a super specific workload and I know what I'm doing. I just want to do, the liquid clustering myself. Can I still do that?
Yes, that's definitely possible, even though we recommend, rely on predictive optimization to do all this table maintenance for you. Yeah.
And one question, since you mentioned that predictive optimization runs only optimize, which means it's, let's say, well tailored for liquid clustering because you no longer need to do the z-ordering. Is it right, or is there any other things to consider?
Yeah, so on the, I guess, table layout decisions, we definitely recommend liquid clustering as, we are heavily investing in that, and we recommend customers to use liquid clustering over z-ordering for a few benefits. For example, you get less write amplifications with liquid clustering. So for predictive optimization specifically, we do support the optimized on liquid tables, and as of now, we don't support z-order on the z-order tables.
Yeah, that makes sense. And is there any other benefits of using managed tables, like automatic statistics or any other things that may be interesting for our customers?
Yes, definitely. Happy to talk more about that. Yes, great question. So even though predictive optimization has already GA'd, we're actually still constantly innovating and adding more and more functionalities for our customers. So one of that is AutoStats. So what is AutoStats? So the challenge that we see today is that customers have to run analyze to collect query statistics. Here again, the problem we hear from customers is that you have to decide what tables to run on, how frequently to do so, and analyze is actually one of our least run commands because it's just so manually intense to keep up. So here comes, predictive optimization will actually automatically collect query optimizing statistics during supported write operations, and actually collecting these stats during the write times is more cost efficient. And the time it takes to write the stats during the ingestion is actually 20% faster than running on analyze as a standalone operation. And last but not least, we will also actually intelligently update the statistics to use the optimized query plans by running analyze in the background. So here again, we are using the intelligence to decide what is the best cadence to run analyze, and we only do so when we realize the statistics are stale and they require a refresh. So, the feature in a nutshell, your queries are just going to go faster with predictive optimization, and you don't have to think about any of these analyze, stats collection at all.
I have a question. There is a table property where you can specify either the columns that you wanna have in the stats collection or the first 8 or 9 columns. When you do this, does it also work well with predictive optimization, or predictive optimization will always run the capture statistics for the first 32, despite the properties you're gonna put in the table?
Yeah, that's a great question. So a clarifying point is that we actually have two types of statistics. So one is query statistics, and which traditionally customers have to run analyze to collect. The other is delta statistics, which as of today, we collect it automatically on the first 32 columns. So if a customer has AutoStats enabled, they will get two things. First, the query statistics are collected automatically. Again, the predictive optimization is intelligently deciding what to collect, what are the queries what are the columns being queried, and therefore what stats are important across the entire table. And secondly, on the delta sets side, it actually becomes intelligent and it can collect the number is still 32, but we're no longer restricted to the first 32 columns. AutoStats will be able to pick up the most important 32 columns for us to collect delta stats across the entire table.
That's amazing, because in the past it was a nightmare. You need to select the columns that were interesting, or numbers, or maybe reorder them to make sure to take only the first 8 columns. Yeah, that's.
And so correct me if I'm wrong, but the delta stats, it's being used, for example, if you do, counts on the table, then we can use delta stats to give the answer instantly. We don't have to scan anything. Well, we don't have to scan everything, sorry. And the query optimization stats, so the one you run with analyze, that's for the query optimizer. So if you do joins, for example, it would know how to shuffle everything based on the, data.
Correct.
Yeah, it's gonna help the execution plan.
Yeah.
Improve the AQE.
Faster queries. with auto statistics. That's nice.
So far, the tables are automatically updated, automatically optimized, vacuumed, and capturing statistics. I think we're gonna lose our job, I think. And are there any other things, like, because you mentioned that also with the liquid clustering, we're gonna have, like, since we're gonna capture the statistics, it can help you decide which column to cluster. I think this is something also part of the roadmap.
Yes, definitely. So another upcoming feature that we're super excited about is that we are building automatic liquid clustering key selections for our managed table customers. So by simply running create table cluster by auto, Predictive optimization will come in and choose the clustering columns on your behalf. So the challenge with liquid clustering here today is that customers still have to decide which clustering columns to use. And as you said earlier, you might also not have the statistics collected if it's not the first 32 columns. But really what we're doing with predictive optimization is to fully automate the entire process, because we believe that we can do a really good job at choosing these clustering columns based on your usage patterns. So how does this work? We will first collect query scan statistics. So this includes your query predicates, any join filters you use in your queries to determine the tables that are most beneficial from adding or involving liquid clustering keys. Next up, we will also model the workload to understand what are some most eligible clustering columns. We choose these candidates by looking at your query workload and try to maximize the data skipping we can provide by setting these clustering columns. We then estimate the potential cost savings you would get for each column, assuming that if that is being set as a clustering key. So our savings calculations are based on, the scan queries in the past 30 days. And again, here we're trying to optimize in reducing the amount of data you have to read whenever you query your table to maximize your cost savings. And last but not least, once we decided the top, clustering key candidate that can provide the maximum data skipping, heuristics will actually also calculate if the benefits of applying a new set of clustering keys would outweigh the cost of changing the keys itself. Because we know that the clustering operation itself could be very expensive. And once we identify, having this new set of clustering columns will actually have a lot more benefit than the old set of clustering columns or the existing data layout, we would actually then go ahead and change the clustering columns. So the key point here is that it's really trying to make a positive return on investment decision for our customers, because clustering could be expensive. So one very simple example here we've seen from customer workloads is that customers sometimes insert by a timestamp. So the table naturally has an insertion order. And however, they also query on timestamp. So that is actually a good example where even though setting clustering columns can give you a slightly more benefit by selecting timestamp, it actually doesn't make too much of a difference between your insertion order compared to the clustering columns. So here we'll make an intelligent decision to actually keep it as an unpartitioned table. So again, the one key thing to take away here, the capability in a nutshell, is that we will decide the most optimal data layout for you. Let it be liquid, let it be non-liquid, but such that the predicted cost savings we have from your data skipping will outweigh the cost of any operations we run.
And just to clarify, so folks, with liquid clustering, you no longer need to partition your tables, but you can cluster them. It's like logical partitioning, which can help you to easily change the columns rather than having to rewrite all the underlying table. So that's the perks of using cluster. And with this predictive optimization, you have this awesome feature of cluster by auto. And it will be, I guess, available for all cluster, like all-purpose clusters and SQL warehouses as well, right?
So to run the command create table cluster by auto, we support this in all sorts of runtime environments. But the DBR version has to be 15.3 onward.
Yeah. Yeah, that's perfect. Any questions, Quentin?
No, I mean, I love it, but I've seen so many issues, with I remember once I've seen someone like making a mistake and they picked the wrong column to partition and they were partitioning by timestamp, which was creating like one file per second. And it was like insanely
Small
slow.
file issues.
Yeah, so like that, like it's gonna remove all these issues and you don't even have to know about it. You just, turn on cluster auto and boom, you're done. You don't have to think about your clustering, you don't have to think about your partitioning, your files, your source files, stuff like that. So it's gonna be great.
Yeah, we all love it.
And any other features you want to show us? I mean, so far you have like listed 3, and I'm still trying to keep up.
Yeah, definitely. I think one thing I want to touch on is the automatic feature enablement. I think you alluded to it earlier today. So to clarify, this is something outside of predictive optimization, but again, something we want to build for UC managed tables. So the challenge we see across customers is that we have made a lot of improvements and innovations, in the past few years, but customers are still stuck on the earliest version of Delta. There is no upgrade to the tables. There's no adopting all these new features. So some of the examples here, as you can see on the slide, is, for example, we have row level concurrency, where we automatically resolve concurrent transactions. We have column mapping, which makes it super easy to change column names or drop any columns without actually having to go through a physical delete. And we have deletion vectors. This is one of a customer favorites for those who have adopted it, but we also see a lot of customers who are still not on deletion vectors yet. But this is really powerful because it's our storage optimization features, which allows us to track any deleted rows in the metadata level without actually have to go in and physically deleting those rows. So what that means that they actually can significantly speed up operations like merge, update, and delete with no performance changes on the read side of things.
Yeah, I remember this. This was a big pain because you had to enable this. Like you have 2 options. Create a cluster and add properties to make sure that every table created with this cluster will have those features, or if they are enabled later, you need to do it for every table, which is a bit overwhelming. Now it can automatically be enabled without any manual tuning.
Correct, definitely. So that is exactly the problem, we see across all houses, all table formats. People are stuck on the earliest version and it's so difficult to pick up the latest features. But however, now with automatic feature enablement on the UC managed tables, all your tables we just have to work out of the box with no work required from the customer side. So all just means that we will automatically determine if your table is ready to get all these new features without you having to do any work at all. We will also automatically detect if there's any reader compatibility issues from your reader that are reading the tables, and we will only upgrade the features if we don't see any reader compatibility issues.
Yeah, that's. I was about to ask, how we're gonna deal with the kind of older version of the reader, and if it's gonna break everything, but it's being taken care of. So you scan, you would scan everybody who's reading the table, and if you see an old version of the reader, not knowing about deletion vector, then you don't turn it on. Is that how it's working?
Yes. So taking deletion vectors as an example, I believe it's compatible from a 12.2 reader version onwards. But if we detect that there is readers reading this table from an older version than 12.2, then we will know that we shouldn't be applying deletion vectors. However, if we know that all the readers reading the table is 12.2 and beyond, then we know that this table is ready to be upgraded to have deletion vectors enabled.
Yeah, that's great. It's going to be super smooth, upgrade and new feature enablement.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's
what about
amazing.
the variant data type? I see variant data type. Is it coming too?
Yeah. Yes,
well, can you
so
tell us what's variant for everybody? Maybe.
We have a few coming soon features that we're also looking to automatically enable. So one being variant. which improves our performance in processing unstructured data. It's a new data type that we recommend customers to use on unstructured data. And once you use Variant, we actually have a lot of core optimizations on the query engine side to be able to query these sort of nested structures a lot faster. We also have automatic type widening. So this widens data types automatically when there is a data type change without any data rewrites. We hear a lot from like DLT customers where the pipelines would break because out of a sudden your int becomes a long data type value. But here with automatic type widening, that's all taken care of. And the goal here is we never have to break a pipeline again because if data type changes. Last but not least, our all-time favorite, liquid clustering. This is something that we want to enable by default as well, with a combination of what we mentioned earlier, the intelligence from predictive optimization.
So we're bringing all the Delta 4.0 features to the managed tables automatically.
Definitely.
And what about the vacuum? Because I remember like many customers used to go to external tables because whenever they used to drop a table in managed, the data was automatically deleted, as well as the table, compared to the external tables where you only lose the metadata and the data is still in the location. And then later, I think we brought a feature called undrop. But what if you wanted to drop the table immediately?
Yeah, that's a great point. You are bringing all the customer pain points to us, and we're building everything as you see the pain points. So really, to give us a complete data lifecycle management, we have table performance at scale with the default feature enablement, have AI power optimizations with predict optimization. Then, as you ask, what happens if files are deleted because you're dropping a table? So now with UC managed tables, whenever a customer drops their table, Databricks will actually automatically delete the files for you. And this is actually still within your control because, as you said, there is a 7 days undrop period, but we are also making that configurable. So if 7 days is too long, feel free to change it to 3 days. And the exciting thing is there is the delete now capability. Here, if you choose to delete now, we'll actually immediately delete the table from the UC side of things on your behalf. And the benefit here is that customers will get storage cost savings because if you're certain that you don't need this table anymore, there's no reason to keep it in the cloud storage.
I think I've heard the rumor that we're going to have a dashboard that will be automatically added where you can track like all the DBUs you've saved and the storage you've saved, and also like everything related to the cost you've saved since you started using predictive optimization and managed tables. Is it a real rumor?
Yes. It's a rumor for now, but I want it to be a real rumor. So stay tuned. We are looking to build, as you said, a return on investment dashboard for customers, thinking about next calendar year. So as you said, we were able to show you how much data we've vacuumed, what are the associated cost savings from these vacuum runs, how much were we able to speed up your queries because of optimized autostats, liquid clustering, things like that, to really show the benefit of predictive optimization for our customers.
Yeah, and I think something important to mention that managed tables are also now accessible through other engine thanks to UC open source. It can be DuckDB or Spark, OSS Spark, or any tool. I think this is something important you need to keep in mind. So if you're doing some migrations, like we're moving from a tenant to another, make sure to consider moving to managed tables. And if you are using external tables, not a big deal. Keep using the external one, and all the new tables you're going to create, make sure to move them to managed tables. Yeah. I think that was supposed to be your sentence, Cindy.
All good. Just need to get the message across.
Yeah, and do you have any other words before we close?
No, as Yusuf said, move to managed tables. that's what one thing to take away is use manage table today. That's the most powerful and easy to use table type at Databricks.
All right. Well, that's amazing. Perfect. Go manage table. Easy.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you, folks. Thank you for having me here.
Bye.
Bye.